Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So, due to overwhelming requests from the last video to start a petition to bring the global army's voice to the fore to talk about BTS's mandatory military service and whether they should get an exemption or some sort of modification for their own safety and for the well-being of the South Korean military overall, we got one started. And I wanted to go over Innisfree black tea youth enhancing ampoule and the eye cream. This copies a very popular line from, I believe, Fresh. So let's see if this kind of stands up to the test. And there's something that I found that was really odd but intriguing in the snack aisle here in Korea. If you like potato chips, would you like them mango flavored? I have not tried these. I want to unbox this with you and see what this is all about. Coming up. So there were a lot of people who are still very angry about how BTS is just being bandied about and used for the benefit of Korea, which is in itself a noble crusade by the members. It is a great thing that they're trying to help the Expo along in the bid. You know, we went over what the World Expo is in 2030, and I just wanted to bring up a point that, you know, the endorsement by the fathers wasn't them asking the government for the help of BTS or to bring Busan into the World Expo bid. Apparently it was the government officials who went and got the fathers like drinks or getting. That is the modus operandi of when you know who is asking for the favor and who is being obligated to comply with the favor, or else meaning that there could be some negative ramifications. So it makes no sense to any South Korean where they would say like the fathers of JK and Jimin approached the government and said, oh, why don't you comply to our request or our idea about a government plan that's already in motion with politicians already attached who want to get the most credit? It doesn't work that way. The fathers cannot ask the government officials over for drinks to convince them to bring it to Busan. It's the other way around. It's the government officials saying like, hey, can you meet with us? And as the fathers, they really have, at that point, almost no choice. You have to go to that, and we call it 술자리, or drinking spot, where basically it's kind of like the appointment that they've made, but not in an office, like at a place where they can get them drunk and ply them with, you know, suggestions. And so apparently, you know, when you're saying like, oh, well, you know, didn't the fathers also endorse this? And didn't the RM also endorse this? Under obligation, they probably were asked, and then you have to do your due diligence perhaps, and then they would say, okay, yes, you know, the members support it. But what do the members really get out of this unless there is some sort of a bargain going on or pressure going on? And usually the thing that gets people so upset in Korea in terms of deals that go wrong is that the promise is heavily suggested or even outright made, where everyone's surmising like, okay, fine, BTS, you do one good for the country in terms of supporting this Busan Expo, well, maybe most likely get you out of the military, but no promises. And then what happens? They get what they want, and then the promise is broken. That really destroys people's psyches and mentalities here, and the politicians in power for that brief moment feel like, oh, they're masters of the universe because they were able to get something for nothing by going back on their promises. And so in that case, we could kind of see that this is a situation where it's not advantageous for them to say no. They're almost forced to say yes. So what I really wanted to bring up with this petition, and then the way that I worded it, is to tie it back into the Busan Expo, because you gotta communicate in language that these politicians will respond to. They won't respond to "BTS deserves it." BTS has already done such great things for the country. BTS, you've already promised them, but they don't care. You slap them with, let's boycott the Busan Expo 2030 unless you grant military exemption for BTS, or at least some sort of modification where they would be safe while they are serving their military duty. And if you say, as the global army, that we are not going to come to Korea, who cares if there's a Busan Expo in 2030? That's such a long way off. Or say, like, we don't even want to support your bid right now. That gets their attention, because that is essentially hitting them in the pocketbook. That is essentially hitting them in their promotions. You know, it's like politicians are trying to gain more power. That hits them immediately in the sense of that's what they care about. They don't care about BTS, because obviously from what we saw from the last video, they are willing to use these guys to their own end. And it is very unfortunate that it hasn't been very clearly laid out. Yes, it might be going on behind the scenes, but in order to make them accountable to their word, I think the global army does need to speak up now and say that we are watching you and we want a guarantee now. I would say that the deal should have been structured where when they were granted that honorary ambassadorship for the Busan Expo 2030 and then all the work that comes along with it, that's when they should have gotten the military exemption, not based on a successful bid. In my mind, if I were the politician, that's what I would be saying, like, hey, if we actually succeed, then we can move forward with your military exemption. If I were BTS's agent, I would have said, no, let's roll that back. Regardless of how this bid goes, we are doing this extra work this is not in the job description of a pop star. What about you, Mr. Politician? How about we make you go and dance on stage, go on a world tour, go into the recording studio, have your dinner, breakfast, your whole family life filmed 24/7 for the fans, and then come out with merch? That's not part of your job description. It's also not part of the job description for BTS members to be PR people for a government program trying to get a World Expo. That's not part of their job description. So since you've made it part of their job description, then you have to compensate them in a way that you have some sort of thing to trade with. And we all know what that is. So you better give it to them. Otherwise, if you betray their trust in this regard, already the BTS army around the world says they're not going to let it go. And what leverage does the global BTS army have? Boycotting the Busan Expo. Because without international guests to the Busan Expo, it'll be a failure. The Korean domestic population is not enough for a successful expo. You have to have at least some sort of international presence so that it looks like it's actually a World Expo and not just another temporary Legoland. Yes, we just opened up a Legoland here in Korea. And so I think this petition, we'll give it a shot. I don't know how far to go. Hopefully it'll go all around the world and get thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of signatures. But in any event, many of you guys wanted a petition, and I just wanted to outline this is what I did and how I outlined it. And I also brought in the particular clauses from the Military Service Act, where essentially there are areas in the law that we are trying to clarify and expand upon with a National Assembly law. And so I wanted to also link that in the petition so that you guys can see the actual law. It's in English in the link. So under Article 65, line 10 of the Military Service Act, it says that there are people who are in active duty service who have promoted culture or enhanced national prestige in a field under Article 26 may be transferred to supplemental service upon application. So what is Article 26? So Article 26, there is under line 1-3, duties in the field of art and sports to promote culture and to enhance national prestige. So already art and sport. Now, it seems as if under this language they already qualify, but in the practicality of it and under precedent, apparently in Korea, art doesn't necessarily include K-pop. And so I think we need a clarification of that law, but the way that it looks like right now, they would already qualify for at least a modification to their mandatory military service. And if you have any other comments about like what should be added or modified to the petition's language, definitely feel free to put it in the comments below. And the easy link to it, it's change.org/Army Loves BTS. So check it out, sign it, and share it with your friends. Okay, let's talk about K-beauty. So, you know, there's that like black tea trend that has been going on for a hot minute in the field of not only K-beauty, but cosmetics and skincare. And Fresh, I think, has put kind of like the market leader on that in terms of branding, but it's extremely expensive. So Innisfree, of course, you know, a Korean brand, this is under Amore Pacific, they're gonna copy. And so I got this also like kind of on a discount set. You know, I told you, like, we just dump products here in Korea, so when you see a deal, it's a great way to try. So this is essentially the Ampoule. I used like almost the whole bottle, and it's like an essence. I don't know if I can get some out of there. There we go. That's a lot. Okay, so I would say the coverage is pretty good. It gives you kind of an immediate glow, but what I've noticed is that it didn't really seem like to do amazing stuff, because it just seems kind of like an ordinary run-of-the-mill. I didn't feel like whatever like magical properties the black tea had. Also the same thing with the eye cream. I already told you I don't really use eye cream. Maybe I should, but eye cream is more of like a gel. So if you want it like light, if you want something that's not gonna be heavy and there's like almost no scent, and if you believe that there is enough black tea essence to make this different from anything else, I would say, yeah, go for it if you have an opportunity to get it at a good price. Would I buy this again? It didn't impress me, but it did feel like high quality, especially for Innisfree. So now Innisfree is sort of like more of the budget line, but you can see them continuously like upgrading and upgrading. And so as their consumer base ages, I think they're trying to then match like what, you know, a budget conscious skincare person would gravitate towards. Maybe they would try the Fresh, but then they're like, it's too expensive. Oh, I see Innisfree has a black tea line. I think that's the person they're trying to get. And I would say this one, honestly, I don't think they did it. I don't think they hit it out of the park. I think they just I think they just used a formula that was pretty good for a serum and an eye gel, and just put it in this very pretty package and then slap some, you know, black tea extract in it. But I don't think it does any magical wonders, to be honest. So there you go. All right, what is up with mango potato chips? we're seeing a few more creative varieties of snacks constantly evolving in Korea. And potato chips, I've noticed in every single country, can be very innovative. It smells like mango right off the bat, and then you smell like the salty, oily potato scent of a potato chip. You taste mango right away. It's kind of pleasurable. I'm kind of surprised at how mango it tastes. You know, like the dried mango, especially those delicious ones, I think from the Philippines. Isn't it called 3D mango or something? It tastes and smells exactly like that, but of course, with the potato chip texture. And the salt. You know, some people put salt, right? Like on fruit, and I think some people put salt on mango. If you like that, I think you will love the... Whoa. And Poca chip is essentially our version of Lay's, and you can kind of see how even the logo is a little bit copied. You know, very thin potato chip. It's sweet, and you know, like honey butter chips and stuff, Korean people like some sweet in their savory snacks. I can probably tell I can tell that there's probably like a lot of sugar in it, but it's not overwhelmingly sweet, and it's fun to eat. I'd recommend it. Okay guys, so that's the petition. Remember, it's change.org/ArmyLovesBTS. Sign it, share it with your friends. Let's try to get some traction on it, try to get some global eyes, and especially on where it just hits them, which is essentially, they want the Busan Expo. They're willing to put BTS out in the press conference and parade them around like they're farm animals to try to get what they want. Well, let's threaten what they want and also try to link that with leverage for trying to make sure that we protect BTS, because we all know that it's for the greater good. Alright guys, well, put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.